Call the meeting to order, Oromocto Council in the committee meeting, April 2025 at 5:31 p.m. I'll call for a mover for approval of the agenda. Deputy Mayor Mawini, Councilor Von Victor, questions, all in favor, contrary, motion carried. No presentations, so we'll go down to the monthly reports. We'll start with engineering and public works. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Oh, Councilor Dodd.
Thank you, Your Worship. Didn't make my notes as detailed as I should have. Just curious about the lift stations that are getting all clogged up. Is that,
Well, that's normal, Your Worship. We've had that in the spring, you get more water coming in, so it's normal. Yeah.
it seems like it's hit just about everyone.
It's mostly the one at Wood Street and the ball field and Mall. Are the ones,
The main
of the
ones,
three
yeah.
big ones, yeah.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Richard. And I have already communicated with you via email and with the CAO just about my concern about the quality of Doyle Drive, and I know that you're going to address that in 2026, and that's fine. I just wanted to get that on the radar again. Can you remind us which streets are being done in 2025, just for our general awareness? This is the time of year in which people ask those questions.
I read them today.
So even just an email to us
I
after.
read them today and Your Worship, and I'll send an email to the CA.
Awesome.
Okay.
I know we saw it a while ago, but it's not fresh in our minds.
I was reviewing it through the tender today and I'll send it.
Thank you.
Now I have a question with the turf machine
Yeah.
cleaning. Now, will that do any more damage to the turf?
No.
It won't, I didn't think it would. Just wondering what the shape area is supposed to be in. Okay. All right, we'll move on to the Department of Finance. Any questions or concerns or questions? Okay. Move to corporate services. Any questions or concerns? None. All right. Human resources. None. Planning and compliance department. Dallas is waiting. None. All right, from up to fire department. Jody's waiting. Oh, Deputy Mayor.
Just a quick question, I just had a question, Chief, about staffing. Like, how are we at now in terms of, I know that there are more people a while ago who were out for different long-term leaves or whatever it be. Without going into too much specifics, just in terms of like the general composition of our workforce, how many people do we have?
Your worship, we're currently got 3 people on long-term, leave, all on work site.
Okay, and do we have any, how is your competition going for replenishing your?
We just did the first round of interviews today, and today and tomorrow is our what we call interview number 1. So we've got like 26 people that we're interviewing over the next 2 years.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, well, we'll move on to the Department of Recreation and Tourism. Any questions or concerns? All right, we'll go to the clerk's office. Questions, concerns? Comments? No? All right. Then we'll go to bingo. We'll start with the purchase of the TMR phase 3 and 4. And Fire Chief Jody Price says that.
Your worship, this is the third purchase of the TMR radios. We've done 2 before this, so if you have any questions,
Questions? They sure don't get any cheaper, do they?
no, they're just on the opposite way of this.
No, it's pretty well cut and dry. We gotta have them, so. Okay. Thanks, Jody. We'll go to 5B, the recycling depot options.
Thank you.
And that's Stephen Bass.
So your worship, I think council remembers a couple of years ago when we decided to move our depot to beyond the fire halls, that at one point we would eliminate the two other locations, so this is just to provide that information. And also we're in negotiation or talks with Faro to have drop-offs at that location so that we can get out of the service completely. And if Faro wasn't sure what they had for equipment, but I saw GFL had some roll-offs that they can do the same thing, so we'll be in. I'm gonna wait for Tim to get back to me from Faro to see what we can do. But the option would be for the town to get completely out of the service. As Faro is gonna be picking up the residential, and then we would leave one location that would be roll-offs, that they would come and pick up weekly. That's the proposal that I'm proposing to do with.
And there'd be no charge that's for them to do
That's
that?
what we're trying to figure out, but the other side of that is if we continue doing it ourselves, your worship, we'll probably have to spend next year close to $500,000 to refurbish, to get a new truck. As
Yeah,
our trucks are at that year mark.
yeah, we don't
We were
want,
supposed to do it 2 years ago, and we knew this was coming, so we just decided to push, so. Even if there was a minimal cost, it would probably still be in our interest to go sub it out, that's their business.
righto. Councillor Dodd?
Thank you, worship. So is it our intent to have that one station, the fire hall location permanently? I thought we were
I mean,
going
we
for
have-
now, that's
for
what I
now,
thought.
yes.
Okay, for now,
Yes.
because I thought we were gonna phase them out. The only reason I'm saying that is because the potential for all of that garbage that used to be in other places from not necessarily our residents, our outlying residents, to be, that to become a dumping site.
Yeah.
And in order to avoid that, if we just take them away, they can't bring it in. And I've had a couple of people tell me, oh, yes, I missed my pickup, so I just brought them in and dumped it there. And the gentleman, he comes away to do that. I mean, he has his service downriver too, but I thought, just put it out, stop being so lazy. But, so that's my fear, is that if we are down to one, and I do think we need to do that, I just don't think we need to have that one station for the next 5 years or ever, because that's what my fear is. It's going to be
But I think
a
that
mess.
Faro is not gonna pick up some of the row housing, though, isn't it? And the apartments,
No,
then you'd still have.
well, they're,
They have to get their own, wouldn't they? The
But-
apartments.
yes, they would, yeah, so the hope here is we'd like to. We would shrink down to one location for now. Is it forever? Hopefully not, because you're correct. At some point, we want people to adapt to the system that's available to them. But in the interim, to try to support some of those people who are not yet able to use that system and are still working out some of the kinks, then this would be something we would do potentially in the interim, dependent on cost. And that's the part that the town engineer is going to seek out to see what those costs are, because those costs will be borne by us, the town. They're not included as part of this program through circular materials. So there is a decision to be made once he's able to collect some of that information on costs.
Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Richard. I definitely agree with what the CAO said in terms of, waiting and looking to see what those costs are. I understand that. I do, I do like the fact that it's not 100% cold turkey and they're gone. The idea of phasing out a couple of locations, because there will be a transitionary period. Some people will have to adjust to the fact that, how much are they actually taking, and they'll have a place to take some of the access. I hear the whole garbage thing and blowing and all that stuff. It persists at the 3 places we have now. So, I mean, to me, that's not a hugely new thing. It's just all gonna be centered at the same place now. But my question is, and maybe I just missed it when I was reading, when they proposed removing the one at Freeman's in the mall, when, like, is it?
For May 1st, we would
May-
do the transition as a say.
So the day that the curbside starts, they immediately come out.
That was the point, but if council wants a 2-week grace period, that's council's decision.
My only concern, and it's a concern that was articulated by a few residents when I saw it online, is that whenever something new comes in, people have good intentions to get things going and get things running smoothly from the very beginning. But sometimes there's a bit of a like period by which it takes people to get things smoothed out and making sure everything gets picked up, and some people don't get forgotten because these are gonna be new routes for some people and all this kind of thing, so I'm not saying July, August, but what I'm just wondering is maybe if we could set like a May 15th or something in which there's a very short phase out. But I mean, if the rest of council wants it a cold turkey May 1st, then it is what it is, but I don't think a 2 weeks is gonna harm anyone.
Councillor Dow?
Thank you, Worship. I don't think that 2 weeks will harm, but the information that's gone out is that the recycling begins May 1st. So I would like to see those two areas cleaned up and have the one behind the fire hall, but not to have it forever and ever, to have it for that changeover period, because we either do curbside recycling or we don't. That, like, this has been ongoing since 2012, and we all came, a lot of us came on board, so it's either do it one way or not. Because if we're trying to save money, not putting repairs into those two trucks that need to have a lot, we don't need to keep extending it. That's just my preference, and since I know that recycling will be in Ward 2, which half of it won't have curbside pickup, unfortunately. But just, and I use Ward 2's one, I don't use them all. Because I'm just going by there all the time. And it's interesting when you're over there, same thing. So I just think it needs to be cleaned up and tidied, and we either do curbside or we don't.
Deputy Mayor?
No, and I'm sorry, before council started, I told people I was really tired today. I actually forgot that the one behind the fire hall was staying there. So I'm okay with the other two going out at the first. I'm good now.
Now, Steve, the bins belong to the town,
Yes,
so what do we do with them when we're done with them?
we're just gonna keep them as spare. Half of them should have been replaced, but we just kept fixing and fixing, but it gets to the point that they're not worth much. And they're bin that if you've never seen the system, they're hydraulically lifted, so you gotta connect, like, they're useless unless you have the truck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we're just gonna keep them spare, and as they break, we'll replace them with the best ones that we have.
And Farrell has a truck like for that, don't they?
What they're doing in other municipalities, they go with roll-off, because it's a lot easier, because they can send any truck, because their trucks for garbage are roll-off, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh, right,
so
yeah.
they have the same system, it's just a roll-off system.
Right. Councillor Kirkbride?
Thank you, your worship, and this is just for curiosity, what do we do with our, like, does the works department have their own bin? I mean, you guys probably go through pile of cardboard, this building probably goes through pile of recycling. The rink would go through pile of recycling, I'm just wondering.
We have a bin that we put, no, we have a bin that we put all our recycling in, and it comes and it gets picked up by the.
And somebody else,
Yeah.
your guys' truck or somebody
No,
else?
somebody else's.
Somebody else's truck, so I just wondered, does that the same happen here?
Yes,
Yeah,
Yes,
we have bins here in the RCMP and Faro picks them up.
Okay, so I know the rink does not.
Not Faro, is it?
The
It's the
regional,
recycle, it's a regional
yeah,
service commission.
the Fredericton Regional Solid Waste
Thank
Commission
you.
makes them.
And their trucks, what do we do with them then, once it's all?
send them to the auction.
Right on.
We sent a bunch of equipment to the auction last week, and we got $45,000 in.
Yeah. Oh, like mayor's pay, isn't it? Okay, any other questions or comments? Oh, okay.
So
We'll,
just to make sure, your worship, so we're clear that, you know, rate for rate now, bin service in 2 of the 3 locations will end on May 1st. We will retain a location behind the fire station with a minimal number of bins. until such time as we bring back to you, who might offer that service, because our intention is to have our employees and our equipment out of the game as soon as we can. Is that what everybody
Clear,
understands?
council? Council Carr?
Hey, Your Worship. I know there's a cost associated, but would it make any sense to have a small sign put at the former locations just to direct people that there is still a drop bin behind the fire station? Just to say, hey, I'm not looking to babysit anybody, I know that there's a curbside, I get it, but. There's some concern about people not knowing what to do if they got there, so.
Let us take that one back. My fear there is the complication is the two locations that we don't own the location,
Right.
so it's difficult to jam signs in the ground. Not, but we'll take a look. I think we might be able to help on the social media side and try to do a blitz though. If we can, we'll consider it.
So, Steve, would the bin still be there on May 1st, or you?
May 1st, we'll remove the bins.
Right,
Yeah.
okay, so that'll
Yeah.
solve that problem. They go there and there's no bins.
We'll remove the sign, the bins, everything will be clear.
No.
We'll have to do some patching in the locations, because some sank in the asphalt, but that'll be done in the.
It'd be nice down behind Freeman's anyway, because the garbage are flying in the woods and the neighbor's yards and stuff. And the poor neighbor there, they were driving over their lawns when they do the circle and. So he'll be gracious for that. Okay. I guess we're going to the lights at the Hazen Park ball field.
So your worship, as part of the 2025 capital budget, council approved the replacement of the lights at the Hazen ball fields. So we had two quotes come in, but Rexall, it was a cheaper quote, and they did a full model of the field with all the lights and the intensity and everything. So we're recommending we go with Rexall for the LED fans, luminaires, wattage, selectable sports light. So the costs associated with this is 43,000. We will install them ourselves with our budget. And basically that was the best price, and we had 58,000 budgeted. One of the questions council might ask is that we also had money for the tennis court lights. They're part of that. They're in another, but they're under CAO's approval for signatures. It didn't have to come to council, but we're replacing that one also. And it was a cost of 17,000. We had 18,000 budgeted.
So we will be bright, your worship.
And they're brighter than what we
Yes,
had.
they're LEDs. So there won't be the high pressure sodium like currently we have.
Right, oh, and I like the idea of the 5-year warranty anyway, so. Yeah. Okay,
And the last one, your worship, is the turf field vacuum. So council had approved the purchase of a turf field vacuum for the Royal Washburn field, so therefore the purchase for Reddick and Verti top 1,800, the price quoted was 42,997 plus HSD, which is under the budget amount of 45,000. The machine is available for delivery. It's in Moncton currently.
so how do we normally clean the turf field now?
We just ran with the tractor and just basically brushed it as we went. But this will be when there last year, council had some comments about bird poop and all that, so we'll clean that.
Yeah, I know, so some years the seagulls get on there and the feathers flying.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Worship. Oh, sorry.
Council Dunn.
Sorry.
Sorry, just when you mentioned those lovely birds, is that noise thing that gets turned up to deter them? Is that still working properly?
I can check. I'm not sure that that's still in
They
operation.
haven't been gathering yet, but they're soon to be.
I will check on that and get back to the CEO. Thank you, Worship.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Now we'll go to 5E, the date of public presentation and public hearing of written objections, the bylaw 510-E, a bylaw to amend the municipal bylaw 522-1A, a bylaw to amend the zoning bylaw. And Dallas has that.
Thank you, worship. I guess I'm here for a pair of these that you'll have in your package. They're basically to set the first reading of the bylaws and the public presentation date, public hearing date, and PAC views for a couple applications for municipal plan amendment and rezonings. The first relates to piece of ground that we had a conditional sale offer on from a while back for someone on Mirror Road for a car wash. In the meantime, we've been working with them on the details, of what their application is going to be like, so that we can go with everyone in agreement. We've finally done that, or now we can bring something forward. So tonight's just the first next step in that process to set the public hearing dates, a public presentation, and ask for PAC reviews. Council will see further reports, or a full report prepared for PAC, which PAC will then give comment and send back to PAC, and send back to council for comment, but today is just to bring it to council for the first reading and for the setting of those dates. So if there's any questions on those, for this one, I'll entertain them now.
So Dallas, if this is passed, when do they plan on starting right away, or?
So if this is passed, what will happen is then we'll get the notice up within the web page. Then we'll be going to a public presentation at the next CIC next month. And then the month after that, there'll be a public hearing. And then it'll get gone to PAC, and PAC will have their comments. So it will be 2 or 3 months before they're brought for a final approval. Well, so this is first reading, then there will be third, and it's the third and our council saying, okay, we have the information and we're going to be approving this, and then it will be after the third reading, then they could come in and start and do the discussion, but we're away from that.
Right on, perfect. Okay,
And if I can, just the additional one relates to a piece of property that was formerly the rectory of the Anglican Church in Broad Road. And someone's going to take it over as the residence, but because it's being separated from the church, that necessitates the zoning and the plan amendment change. There's no longer exception use, so it's a lot of much ado about very little to some degree, but that's why that's important.
Councilor Kirkbride?
That's the little stone church across from the hospital.
Yeah.
So where are people gonna park when they go to church?
It's not affecting the,
It's not. How's the rectory, so it's there. Okay.
Yeah. They normally park in front of the hospital, and then the hospital parking lot. Yeah.
Church. Okay, yes, sorry, the rectory.
Okay, is that all for Dallas? Other questions? Okay, thanks, Dallas. We go to 5D, the tender award for demolition of Hubbard School.
Thanks, your worship. I'll take this one. So, I mean, we've been working away at, as part of the larger project. So we had a demo for a tender out, and we got quite decent interest. So we had quite a number of bids, which was pleasantly surprising. Although when we first got all the bids, the range from high to low was just way different. So not knowing exactly what people were pricing in those bids, because this type of tender is more like you know, if you give a price and there isn't a whole lot of detail behind it initially. So we went back and asked for a post-tender clarification just to get a breakdown of what they were doing with, you know, some of the identified hazardous materials and where they were planning to take the rubble, so to speak. So after that was done and we had responses from 7 of 9, really what it came down to was that everybody said similar things. So it kind of led us to be like, well, why not just go with the lowest bid at that point, which was leading edge excavation and trucking. Some of the things we'll do in order to also kind of protect ourselves against any, you know, dramatic changes and changes. Once I do up the letter for them, or the award letter, we'll also draft a small letter of understanding through the contract, and just make sure that, you know, what they told us through the bidding process and having had the ability to go tour the building is that they should have built their risk into the bid. And hence why we probably saw such a wide range, as some people have less tolerance to risk, aka 2.37 million, and some may have more. So we'll make sure we build as much of that into the contract. But you know, really it broke down to cost that once we knew that everybody was on a similar page, so. Your worship, we're just looking for that recommendation come Thursday night.
Council Kirkbride?
Thank you, worship, I'm just wondering, in any place in the contract or what have you, or in the bidding, how long time wise?
Yeah, so it has a 6-month timeline on it. So what I'm looking at right now in order to give a few people some time to get some stuff out is that the contract will begin on May 12th and expire on November the 12th. So it should be all gone by November 12th, otherwise we'll have another conversation with them, but.
Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, thank you, your worship. And are there clauses in the contract in which would penalties clause if they do not complete it by such time?
There isn't a specific penalty clause in this one. Penalty clauses are double-edged because sometimes what people do with penalty clauses is they'll build some risk into their bid. But you know, it's to be understood that the job is supposed to be complete. So there is some things we can have discussions upon in terms of making sure that progress gets done on time. But as far as specific penalties and what those would be, no, there isn't in this particular tender.
I guess just a follow-up.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, just a follow. The only reason why I asked that, because I know that when you look at some of the different contracts that had happened, I think even with Princess Margaret Bridge and different other jobs, I know that there were penalty clauses that were embedded in there, because I know that you would go there at 3, at 2 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning, and you'd see the crews working, and I thought, what a funny time of the evening. And then when it was explained to me that they were getting close to their deadline, then they were making sure they got done on time because they didn't want to pay the penalty. But if there's a reason why we don't, then that's fine.
I know. Councilor Duffy?
Thank you. I'm just gonna make the assumption that once they start working, there will be a fence put all around it.
Yeah, there'll be some, most of them have identified, they'll do their best as far as fencing the areas, the active areas to which they work on as they go along. You know, the first little while, it's gonna look like nothing's happening because that's the remediation stage where they're actually just inside the building, literally bagging stuff and taking it apart like piece by piece. So, you know, in the first month or so, it might not look like a lot's going on. And so there might not be fencing up, you know, on May the 13th per se, but certainly once the active demolition piece starts taking place, there will be, you know, that type of fencing around.
And the only reason I ask is because it was brought to my attention, and I don't know if they made the call here to town hall about it, that there had been people in and around Hubbard School over on the weekend. And I said, then you should be calling town hall about that, because I said it's all boarded up, but to my knowledge, they shouldn't be getting in there, but.
Oh, they've been getting in for a long time. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, it's been an ongoing process, so I know Joe McLaughlin's gonna be happy that this building's gone, because he's often the one that has to answer the alarm bells at 2 o'clock in the morning, and then sometimes that also involves our fire department, depending on what kind of activity's going on, so.
And that's why I asked about the fence, because they said, what's gonna happen when we start taking down? I said that they will have to take the necessary precautions to ensure that the public isn't in and around it.
Right, yeah.
Thank you.
Councilor Von Richter?
Thank you, worship. Just a question on with such a range between 7.25 and 2.37. And the perils of always taking the lowest tender in this role of ours. Just wondering, are we confident that if this person is not too far below everybody else, they can do the job for that price?
Yeah, and that was the reason I wanted to go address to everyone through a post-tender clarification, because initially I wasn't. But once I started getting all the responses back of people saying similar things, then I felt better about the lowest bidder, because had I got a response that was like, well, what do you mean asbestos, or what do you mean I can't just, you don't have a hole for me to drop this in, then I would have not necessarily gone with the lowest bidder in that case.
Council Duff?
Thank you. Where are they from? Are they local?
Nova Scotia area, just outside Halifax, yeah.
Where do they propose to take the asbestos?
Well, there's a couple of different things, in this case, most of it, if it's done remediated properly, they can take it to Fredericton, has a site to which they can accept it, and take it in, so that's, what this group plans to do.
So the other materials, the demo material, where is that gonna go to landfill or?
No, this group has a particular site that they're taking it to, I believe in this case, somewhere out the Hanwha. But it's not uncommon. All the back 40s of Majorville are filled with construction debris of sorts. As long as it's inert and there's no bad stuff, then that's not atypical. But they do have a plan to take it somewhere local, and hence that's probably why some of their prices are a little better as well.
Is there any federal or provincial money available for this?
Absolutely not. Nobody is going to give us money to demolish buildings. Yeah, no, there isn't,
Can't
unfortunately.
send a bill back to the province for our $1?
No, it was, your worship, it was understood that when they gave it to us for $1, that they knew as well as I did that there was going to be a cost to it. Otherwise, they would have tried to sell me for the building at a market rate, which probably would have been $700,000. Unfortunately, but so yeah, we knew that was a risk, and then they did as well. So that's why we got it for $1.
Righto. Any other comments in that, council? Okay. We'll move to 5H, the policy amendments. We'll start with 5H-1, attendance at work policy.
Yes, your worship. So there was 3 policies, and again, most of these policies are just ones that we're reviewing, updating as we go along, just to make sure they're as current as we can. So there were 3 attached. Attendance was one, and really the update there was just to reflect the usage of our new program we're using for payroll and clock in, clock out, the UKG system. So that was just an update. The holidays and leave policy was one around just clarification on application from completed years of service, as well as just some paternity update amounts. In this day and age, we have to include paternity as well as maternity under the federal legislation. And the last one was just return to work, and it was just really just some grammatical corrections that were made there in order just to tidy that one up as well. So hopefully everyone had a chance to read through the highlighted pieces, were the pieces that were really identified and changed. And if there's any questions, then I can.
Councilor Victor.
Just thing I read it. Thank you, Worship. I was just wondering if, I see that we're still requiring a doctor's note after 1 day. Is there any discussion about the lack of doctors and availability of removing that and going to a different system? Or?
Yeah, there was. I mean, and our leadership group talked a bit about it as well. And there is a little bit of back and forth there for now. I mean, because we can come back to it, consensus was, it's still working okay. We do have a lot of people who will use the Maple app and things like that. And so there's still a little bit of, I guess, to have that tool for some to say, hey, look, you know, if you're gonna be ill, we just want you to take that step so that we don't have people abusing that, if you will. But certainly we're all well aware that the trend is heading towards, you know, we don't want to be too cumbersome on our primary care physicians for, you know, doctor's notes, so to speak, for missing work. But for now, we didn't feel let it overwhelmingly hurt us yet. But if we find more often than not that it's becoming a problem or cumbersome, then it's absolutely something we're prepared to look at again.
Yeah, the only reason I asked is that in the last 2 or 3 interviews I've had with doctors, they've said, you know, we gotta get out of this sick note thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we're trying to do things to make Oromocto a better place for people to come, maybe the employer should lead the way and not necessarily enforce that. But
Yeah,
I realize it's always because of the outlier that we have rules.
right, yeah, and so luckily I won't say we use it a lot, but it's just a tool that when we went around and discussed it, it felt like, well, if we could hold on to it for just a little bit longer and see how everything goes, then certainly it's something that, again, if legislation comes out that they're not gonna do it, or if it becomes too cumbersome, then we certainly take a look at it.
Okay. We'll move now to 5I, the Business Beautification Award for Chamber of Commerce. And Cindy, do you have it?
Yeah, I can take that, your worship. We were contacted by the Chamber of Commerce, just last week to ask if we would be willing to contribute to the, prize award of $2,500 for the Business Beautification, award that they do annually. Typically, we would announce it at the chamber event. I believe Councillor Dodd back in January had mentioned to council that they would be asking again or coming to us, but I believe that she was also guiding them to fill out the grants to organizations. But it's timing. They weren't able to get that done this year. We've already got our grants to organization, but the treasurer has indicated that there are funds available if we wanted to make that award available.
Right on. Councilor Dow?
Just a little further up, that the chamber, not all the board, but the chamber felt that it was ongoing, just between the town of Oromocto. It's offered and the chamber puts it through and does all the legwork. So they just thought it was an ongoing thing, and that's where the mishap is. They are now clear that it before November when the applications come out, that the chamber does have to fill out that application, because previously we had not been filling out applications for that. So I will assure you that that will be done.
And so that's the total amount that goes toward the
Yes.
beautification award?
Yeah, for the beautification.
So the chamber doesn't,
No, it's something
Contribute.
that the town would have originally,
yeah, I remember. I
and
started-
then the chamber follows through with it, sees that it gets done, takes in the applications and goes through them.
Right. Councilor Carr?
Hey, Worship. I assume the chamber decides person who's the business that's awarded this.
Through application, they have to put an application in and tell us what they've done. It has to be before and after pictures that
So it's not necessarily a set criteria, it's kind of
Yes.
just a,
there is.
well, okay, so there's a criteria that everybody would have to be on.
And the application is online under the Chamber of Commerce website.
So it's very clear what the money's going,
Yes.
be awarded for, those
And
details.
initially, if I can just extend it a bit,
Sure.
it was put into place because of the Restigouche Road trying to
Right.
clean that up, because it at one time wasn't a bit very appealing. And so we thought if we did this beautification award and they enhanced their location a bit, then $2,500 would help, and seems to have worked. I'm not saying that we don't always have to strike out and encourage applications as with anything, but it seems to be working.
Right.
And it's not just Restigouche Road people. like-
Right, yes. Good, thank you.
Now, do you have to be a member of the chamber to be a winner?
No, we do have business within the town.
Now, who picks the winners?
The board does, the committee does, through the application.
And they go to Lincoln too and look at,
They go through all of Oromocto.
that's good to
So if
hear.
God does something to their property and they put an application in. That, because the company has to, the business has to put an application in.
Right, but we're hoping that if, that's why I thought if they had to be a member, because then they'd be
No.
aware of it. If they're not a member, then they probably.
No, it's already out there.
Okay. Okay, no, that's good then. Okay, we'll move now to 5J, the 20th of March, 2025 draft of regular session minutes are before you. Any errors or omissions that anyone comes across, please let Cynthia know right away, please. And on that note, I'll call for a mover for an adjournment. Councillor Kirkbride, seconder, Councillor Wayland, questions, all in favor? Contrary, motion carried. We take a 2-minute recess, say goodbye to the board.